Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's time for Self-Scout. Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, along with Brian Westbrook, the Eagles Hall of Famer. This segment is sponsored by Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. And B. West, Eagles offensively not engaged against the Cowboys on Sunday night. From the very jump, you just got the feel that they didn't have the juice offensively.
Another slow start for our offense, and coming out of the bye, you're thinking that this team is going to come out excited, a couple new wrinkles, a couple new plays, trying to get Golden take the football, and we did not see that yesterday from this offense.
All right, let's talk about big picture here. The RPO offense, which was so effective. This is a run-pass option. Quarterback has the discretion at the line of scrimmage based on what he sees to change the play, run to pass. Has the league caught up with that?
Well, over time, and I think the Eagles have done a great job, especially last year, running this run-pass option. And unfortunately, what defenses do all offseason long is try to figure out ways to stop it. And now for the Eagles, they have to figure out what's the next thing in the progression. So the run-pass option, if your first guy isn't open, what's the next thing that you have to do? Unfortunately, we haven't figured that out yet.
And certainly the Eagles feeling the effects of the absence of Lane Johnson at right tackle on Sunday night against the Dallas Cowboys. Halapoulivaati Vaitai playing against DeMarcus Lawrence, and was okay, but you really see that the Eagles have to help Vaitai a lot, and that takes away from the offense. So let's talk about, first, the run game. We thought the Eagles may have turned the corner in London against Jacksonville, 133 yards. On Sunday night against the Cowboys, and other than a 29-yard run from Josh Adams, ineffective in the run game. What's going on?
Josh Adams looked quick. He actually looked pretty good when he ran the football, when he got his opportunities. But the commitment isn't there. But the other part is that you have to get that offensive line from the first level to the second level. And we'll talk about it a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. But our offensive line has to cover up defenders. And right now, they're not covering them up. When I mean cover up, I mean you get on them and don't allow them to shed you and get off. That's where you can have big runs. Unfortunately, our offensive line is not doing that consistently enough. And if you want to establish the run game, you can't have penetration. You don't want to be contacted to 2, 3, 4 yards down the field. Exactly what Zeke Elliott did to us yesterday.
Yeah, and fourth down early in the game, the Eagles going for it in Dallas territory. Adams smothered penetration, like you said. Eagles offensive line just doesn't seem as stout as it was a year ago.
Doesn't seem as stout. I think you're playing with a lot of different moving pieces, and the best offensive lines in the league have had guys there playing together for a very long time. Right now, we've kind of have a patchwork because of the injuries. Some guys playing different positions because of the injuries, and it's just hard to get that continuity that you need, but we need that push, and right now we're not getting that push. It kind of baffles me coming out of the bye. We looked like we were dead. We looked like our legs were dead. We weren't prepared to play in order for us to win. And this is what we did last year. We started fast. We got points early on in the football game. We didn't do that last night.
That brings me to the next subject, the first 15 plays. Again, the Eagles just not scoring points early in the game last year. More than 100 points in the first quarter of games. When you play with a lead, everything changes.
Yes.
Discuss the first 15, Brian. It really seemed like the Cowboys had a beat on what the Eagles were trying to do.
One of the things that we saw, and I think this is a compliment to Doug last year, was that defenses were guessing. We were unpredictable. They didn't know exactly what was coming. And this year, it seems like everyone has a beat on exactly what we're trying to do. And so for Doug as a play caller, of course, the guys need to execute a little bit better, get the routes to the right depth, block a little bit better. But as a play caller, he has to continue to evolve his game, make sure that defenses aren't keen on the small things. A big part of the bye week is self-scouting. Are you being too predictable? Are you doing things too many times? And it just didn't look like we got as much out of the bye week as I thought we would.
In the passing game, the Eagles thought Golden Tate would come in, and eventually this may happen, move around a lot in the formation, get the ball in a lot of variety of ways, creativity. In week one, though, targeted just 4 times, 2 catches, 19 yards. Not there at the end, not part of that package, not moving him around the formation. It really does remind you that it takes a long time to get integrated fully into an offense.
Yeah, and you see it in the offseason. Your quarterback, wide receivers always working together, different schemes. And we thought during the bye week that Golden Tate would have enough time to at least be in a few packages. You get them 10, 15, 20 plays that we know confidently we can figure out a way, design a way to get him the football. Yesterday, it just seemed that we weren't trying to get him the ball as much as I thought we would. We've seen in the past, Carson is very comfortable with Zach Ertz. We understand that. Very comfortable with Jordan Matthews. It takes time for Carson to get comfortable with receivers. And right now, as a team, we just don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, and Brian, there's just that vertical element, other than the 51-yarder to Nelson Aguilar, just not there.
Explosive plays.
Yeah.
Explosive plays. And that's why we went out and got a guy like Mike Wallace to take the top off the defense, to back guys up, to be that vertical threat. Right now, we still don't have that guy.
Zach Ertz, great game, 14 catches, 2 touchdowns, 16 targets, but on the outside, a familiar refrain, not enough plays outside the hashes in the pass game for Carson and the likes of Aguilar and Jeffrey and Jordan Matthews, who had 3 catches, 3 first downs in the first half. But otherwise, just Brian, really baffling that this offense went from 33 points a game to 20 points a game.
Creativity of play calling, right? Figuring out what's the next thing in the progression. And Carson has to do a better job as well. He has to understand that I go to my first read, my second read, then my third read. No matter if I go from my first to the second, I still need to survey our surroundings. You can't throw the ball to the other team. Turnovers continue to hurt our offense, but defensively, we're not getting the ball back. So that turnover ratio is a little bit different than it was last year.
Yeah, your thoughts, it just all works together. When the Eagles don't play with a lead, the defense doesn't take the football away. Your thoughts on the offensive line, big picture here with 7 games left. Is Carson comfortable enough in the pocket? Can the Eagles get better up front with an aging Jason Peters, with an injured Lane Johnson?
Yeah, I think the offensive line is holding it together as best as they can. Of course, Jason is injured. He's playing through a lot of that. There are certain situations where he's getting beat off the edge just because it's hard for him to move back to his right. And then there's certain situations where it's hard for him to get enough depth if guys are going around the edge. But the other 90% of the game, he's doing a decent job. I think playing together is what this offensive line needs. They need the ability to play together because so many injuries, moving pieces, guys in and out, Lane Johnson out now. It's just hard to get that continuity in. Teams see it. You put that on tape, teams will continue to attack you. And I think you're right. Carson, there were times where Carson just didn't look like himself. He didn't look comfortable in the pocket. That's going to be a big issue.
And so here the Philadelphia Eagles are at 4-5 with a big game on Sunday against the New Orleans Saints, a team that just put up 51 points in Cincinnati. For the Eagles to win this game, they're going to have to score a lot of points. The Eagles can't beat the Saints 17-14. Is this offense capable of raising its game and scoring the big points?
We haven't seen it yet. We certainly think that Carson can be the signal caller, the guy that can get the ball downfield and make the big plays. It's going to be a combination of things. Of course, winning in the trenches for our offensive line, getting the protection that you need, allowing Carson Wentz to be comfortable, allow him to be able to go through his progressions. Carson has to be able to go through those progressions and be comfortable in the pocket and throw the ball successfully down the field. That has to be a big part of it. Part of that means he needs to be accurate. He's a very accurate quarterback. In that first half, that first couple quarters, he just didn't look as accurate as before. Play calling wise, Doug has to be on his game. He has to be sharp because in this game in particular, field goals, punts are not going to help you win that football game. You need touchdowns.
A tough challenge for the Eagles on Sunday in New Orleans against the Saints, trying to get back into the thick of things here in the NFC. Certainly is not without within reach. Certainly it is within reach. 3-5, still 2 games behind the Redskins, 2 games against the Redskins. Yeah. But what a costly loss on Sunday night. The Eagles falling to the Dallas Cowboys. That is our Self-Scout presented by Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. For Brian Westbrook, I'm Dave Spadaro. Thanks for joining us.